the fear and hatred of groups of people, it will hurt you. And so it's a spell that I'm very interested in helping people break. I'm not saying that we should have Muslims from all these countries come into our country. I don't want anyone more to come in our country. I think that we have an immigration crisis. And so don't let that spell slip in and say that just because Dean is an honorable and great man, the Dean Show, that means I want to flood that's so nonsensical. But I'm trying to be pretty patient with people because I know how much programming has been put into us, almost like computer code. And I'm trying to raise my son. We're doing a live stream yesterday on Instagram, and it was just so mellow at night. If you guys want to see my night moods, my evening moods, which is a lot more relaxed, I'm much less likely to yell at people. You can go to I'm not Owen Benjamin, run by Papa J Bear, or my Instagram at Owen Benjam. So I'm just sitting in the garden, and my son's bringing me apples and saying hi to the bears, and we're just talking. And it's like, I don't remember what I was. Muslims will help us fight liberal. Don't even think that way. The whole reason you're thinking that way is because you're perceiving yourself in a prison. In a prison, your skin is your tribe. Like if you're in if they send me to prison, I highly doubt that's going to be my future. But if they send you to prison, your race is your tribe. I mean, it's just that's a fact because it's kind of like a very small chicken coop. Goats will start breaking up based on their race, whether they're Nubians or Nigerians or Alpines. It's nature, but we're still free. IG streams are beautiful. Yeah, it's a different vibe. Like people, it's a lot more mellow and just like nice. But someone was asking me, am I going to teach my kid about the moon landing? And I'm like, no. That my goal as a father is to just not have him be beaten down by spells. Like I'm fighting against these spells because I was indoctrinated by spells. A lot of you guys are indoctrinated by spells, and we have to shake them off like they're cobwebs. You know what I'm saying? I don't preach this stuff to my kid. My kid will probably never even ask me about stuff like this because it won't be in his head. Like, you think I'm going to sit with my kid and just be like, or my kids and be like, yeah, Titanic was really owned by JP Morgan and they switched it to the Olympia. And no, this is deprogramming. This is getting rid of spells, and we all need it. The goal is that the next generation, that my children will not even have to think about it. Like that they won't even have to watch out for stuff like this, And if you don't think that I'm capable of fighting monsters, you don't know me. I've broken spells and I've helped so many people have children, stop watching pornography, stop drinking alcohol, get healthier, find Christ. That's what we do every day here. And so when people are like, you sir, you don't even know. Like, I'll tell you some stats. If you talk that way, you're gone. Because it'll kill people. Like, you are killing people with your despair. Where's this graph? Okay. Deaths of despair and its components. And it goes from 1890 to 2020. Deaths of despair from 1970 to 2020. Deaths per 100,000. It was 25 per 100,000 in 1970, and now it's 45 per 100,000. That's more than doubled. That's insane. Drugs, it's 3 per 100,000 in 1970, and now it's 20. Alcohol related, it's flatline. It's just always around 8 per 100,000. Suicide spiked around 1930. Suicide jumped to 22 per 100,000. Right now, it's actually a little lower. It's at 14 per 100,000. But despair, deaths of despair, between 1900 and 2000, you're more likely to die from despair than a gun, an act of terror, all of it. I know our real monsters are out there, and these people that want to sit in my chat and just be like, I mean, you won't even face it. You won't. No, you're gonna die, dude. You're gonna die. And so it's one thing if you bring up a point. It's another thing. Like, that's why I don't like Adam Green. He sells people despair. And it's like, yeah, he names the Jew. He does some. No, it's not good work what he's doing. Because it's bigger than Jews. It's about evil. It's about actually fighting evil. He doesn't have Christ. He doesn't have God. He's a despair merchant. And sadness will kill you. Isolation will kill you. Him telling you every day that the Jews are trying to build the third temple. The Jews aren't going to be the ones who kills you. What are they doing now? They're painting up people with Down syndrome to be drag dancers. So now the grabblers are done trying to make, they're not done, but they're not satisfied by making your children drag queens. They now want to make people with Down syndrome drag queens. And it is a Jewish thing. It is. You cannot show me another group on the planet that's trying to dress up people with Down syndrome like girls. Okay, now we call it out, and what do? Do we hurt the grabbler? No. That's the next level of the evil. They aren't the end of it. Satan uses them as puppets. And this is objective evil. This is material evil. People with Down syndrome are beautiful people. And they are. And it's when people say, oh, black people are great, or I love Jews, or something. No. There's good and there's bad in everybody. People with Down syndrome are objectively more angelic than people without Down syndrome. It's harder for them to function in the beast system. They can't get and operate jobs in the beast system as well as us, but they bring a lot to your life. They see the world through the eyes of that childlike innocence their whole lives. And if you have an agrarian society, if you have a homestead, they're very useful. They can do a lot of work. They, this one woman with goats that I was looking at with goats, she has a child with autism and loves goats. Doesn't speak, loves goats. You know, the real way human beings are supposed to prepare the steaks? No. If you do that, they win. That picture can't be real. It's real, Andy. I don't like to stay in this world. We're about to make fun of Red Pill Rooster and have a good time because we have to build. The reason this happened is because everybody drowned in their own lust, sloth, rage, all of it. And all the babies, all the little babies are going to be like, we got to hurt the Jew. No, that will set off another domino effect of horror that you can't even fathom right now. These are all tests. What does this mean? This means a few things. I actually had a thought that I don't like, but because I don't want to get into politics, but we have to fundamentally represent ourselves on local and state levels. The federal government doesn't matter. I just don't think I can do it. My role is to just get the people going, be funny, all this stuff. I would be a terrible whatever, but you people have to run for state senate. Forget the Senate. You're not going to get it. It's all secret society madness. State Senate, local assembly, school boards. You got to represent your community because it's rotting. And these people have seen, they're starting to really feast. And the way to, and we deserve it. Everybody who watches pornos is feeding the Jeffrey Epstein beast, the human trafficking. Where do you think they get these girls from? You ever think about that? You ever watch some of these porn sites and just video after video? You can go all day long and you don't recognize a single girl. I think Vincent James will eventually run for office and I will vote for him. I wonder why ACLU doesn't protect Owen shows, because I'm not evil. They're evil people. They're despicably, they're material evil. It's one of the things that brought me back to God is to understand how evil these people are. That this sodomite Jew who was in the Israeli Defense whatever, takes people with Down syndrome and he dresses them up like girls. And then what do? They use shame tactics and strong arming through the Jewish-run ACLU, the Jewish-run ADL, the Jewish-run SPLC, the Jewish-run NAACP. And they force people to bring it into their neighborhood out of fear. See, this is why despair will kill you. Because people with despair let it happen. In their mind, they're like, oh, I'm going to kill all these grabblers. A, they never do. And if they do, then the yokes grow around your neck because you're not allowed to. You're not permitted to. And it's because, and this is the result of our sloth, of our detachment from God, of not serving God. Do you think a Muslim community would allow this to happen? No. Why do you think I have grown respect for Muslim communities? The Christian in name only, Dan Crenshaw, John McCain, George H.W. Bush, like all those type of people would allow this to come because they're so obsessed with money and power. So Bernie Sanders, the grabbler, the Jew, says abortion will help fight climate change. Okay. So this guy and this guy are completely different parts of the political spectrum. One's a leftist, one's a Zionist right wing. Okay, what do they have in common? They both have zero respect for human life. Bernie Sanders says that you should abort your babies, that you should kill your offspring to fight a nonsense lie. They have to say climate change now. Oh, and guys, don't just get mad. Don't be a baby. You'll be banned from here. I will disavow you, disown you. Like, you are gone to me. If you start saying, oh, well, we have to fucking shoot these people. I have nothing to do with you if that's the case, because that's the wrong weapon. You're a baby if you can't handle this type of evil. You haven't prayed enough. You don't have Christ. You haven't been given the tools. You haven't been given the iron shirt to chase the devil out of earth. You haven't. Hang on a second. Ban. And this is more of a conversation for men. 40% of my audience is female, which is kind of hilarious. You would never think that, but it is. This is more of a conversation for men because it's very, very sad to women, to good women, to women that haven't been grabbled up. But it's something that has to be discussed. Bernie Sanders says abortion will help fight climate change. This is an evil, evil, evil man. Evil, wicked. He wants someone to go in and use pinchers to break the skull of an unborn child to fight against something that isn't real. They know climate change isn't real because they can't call it global warming anymore because the earth isn't warming. So they changed it to climate change because you can't argue against change. Everything is always changing. Audience members are down. God, 1,700 truth fighters that are audience numbers are down. Oh, you're now banned. 1,700, now it's 1,699. Actually, it's 1,821. There's a certain way of speaking that will not be tolerated here, and I want nothing to do with you. You can stay and listen, but you can't participate in the chat if you're going to speak with despair because you're a liability and it won't work. And if you actually give a flying fuck about children, you would figure out how to fight these people in a way that wins. That's the biggest problem I have with Steven Crowder, is he doesn't want to win. He just wants money. Okay, so this guy, you have to understand, these grabblers, they have no respect for human life. They will eat. Guys, this is what they say in public. They say abort your kids to fight against a non-existent thing that doesn't affect anything. That's ridiculous. In 20 years, everyone will forget about climate change. It'll be like global cooling again, like it used to be. It's your responsibility to get your iron shirt and to look past it and to not take the shame that comes with saying you're wrong, you're a grabbler. That's on you, not these people. Killing a grabbler only makes them more powerful. It's right out of Star Wars. They require it. Okay, so you have that, and then you have this. So you have these people that are parading around people with Down syndrome in drag. They're all Jews. All, guys. All. And if you think calling me a name and giving me social shame and taking away my money and taking away my influence, yeah, I know the numbers are a little down, guys. This is a backup channel, and I've been kicked off Twitter and Facebook. I don't need your despair. But if you're going to fight these people, you have to arm people with reality. The reality is that these people are all Jewish. It doesn't mean all Jewish people are evil. It just means a lot of the evil that's happening right now is coming from Jewish people. And they have a shield that you can't criticize them because of the nonsense word, anti-Semitism. Okay, if you stay quiet while someone's parading someone with Down syndrome as a drag queen and then shaming your district into allowing this horror to come, if you don't make the connection that all of this is coming from these people, if you stay quiet as they kill the unborn because you don't want to be called a name, you will go to a deeper level of hell than them because you knew better. All right, enough intensity. And if you become one of these puppets of the Grabbler, like Steven Crowder, this is your future. Anyone out there have any actual solutions for insomnia as far as staying asleep? Say melatonin or warm milk and I'll wipe out your bloodline. First off, he's wiped out his own bloodline by being a homosexual. Second off, I sleep great. The best way to sleep better, Crowder, is to stop living lies, stop serving evil, and become a father. This guy will have his own plane. That's his goal. He will have his own private plane, and he won't be able to sleep in it. I hope you live 1,000 years, Stephen. So Epstein had sex with 3 12-year-olds, twins, on his birthday, procured by this Grabbler right here. He's a Frenchman. He's now probably dead. Bye-bye, Grabbler. So when you're watching pornography, just know you're spiritually feeding into sex trafficking. When you look at all those videos, every day there's thousands of new videos, thousands of new faces, never-ending girls. You know where they come from? So these people will get them at 12, 10, right? They'll buy them off their parents. Or they get them from homeless shelters. Where is he again? This guy. And then by the time they're 18, they've been so prostituted and degraded that they get ready for the next round of Grabbler, which is the porn industry run by Grabblers, all Grabblers. Every major porn studio is run by Jewish people. All of it. That doesn't mean all Jews are bad. Never hurt a Jew, but it's just reality. All of it. So these people pay off, and Jeffrey Epstein used to brag about how everybody has a price. I don't have a price, Jeffrey. That's why these people stay clear of me. They don't come at me. They're terrified of me. I don't know about terrified, but if you don't have a price, they leave you alone because there's nothing they can do. Is this guy going to come at me? I'd take his top hat, I'd shove it into his mouth, and I would then take a rock or just one of my coffee things, and I would just, the way that you really, like, let's say you have a knife or something, like, let's say you have a knife. It's probably against terms and conditions, but that's fine. It's like you're punching with it, right? If he came and tried to sexually traffic anybody that I know, it's like you take the top hat, you put it in his mouth, and just wow, just, and he's just, because the thing is, he'd be so stunned. He'd be so stunned where he'd be like, how is this happening? Why is there no price? And that's when you win. Don't actually hit the Grabbler, though. I was just saying if he came on my property and tried to grabble. Always have a knife. Knives are better than guns. I mean, still own guns, but knives are way better. Owen, I remember meeting you in Salt Lake City and your show, and we briefly talked about your then YouTube streaming detailing the horrors of what is happening to our children. Thank you for standing so tall. If people don't speak it, they can't defend it. They can't defend against it. This guy would go around the world and he would buy children for sex. And there's people right now, there's YouTubers, even the far right, even the unauthorized, not our guys. We're fucking strong. But people outside the mainstream that would be scared to talk about how they want to beat this guy with a rock because of YouTube terms and conditions. Do you understand how cucked you are? How fucking disgusting you are? That guy bought 3 12-year-olds to get fucked by a Jew on a plane. That guy deserves to be beaten to death with a rock. He deserves it. Don't do it, but he deserves it. And people are so scared of getting their followers taken away. Look at me. When they nuked my YouTube or my Twitter account, I was verified with 125,000 followers. People would literally kill for that. It's fine. Moving on. What's up next? You know, I like all my YouTube videos. I don't like that I had to take them all down. They're fucking great. People enjoy watching them. I had 262,000 followers. I know that number because they froze it at that number for several months, and I thought it was very odd. This guy discovered Christy Turlington or whatever. This is a major modeling guy. He was the head of a whole modeling agency. This was a famous, rich modeling agent. It's all human trafficking. By the time your pants around your ankles whacking off to these girls, they've been raped for a decade. Sean Atwood, yeah, legend. A decade, guys. They've been raped for a decade by these people. And it's like, well, why don't they tell anyone? They've been broken. Anybody that has cattle or animals knows that you can break people. Just like you can break animals. Jackson didn't hurt any children. You're now banned. Just a grown man sleeping with a young boy that isn't his son is hurting children. Red Pill Rooster is causing a lot of problems for the ruling elite. So this is how it happens. First, we see this. Women dies after rooster delivery, lethal strike and rare attack, deadly foul. But let's rewind the clock and understand how you make a killer. How do you make a monster? How do you take what would just be a normal rooster and get him in a position where he could kill a woman? Well, first, they MK Ultra'd this rooster, as you can see here. And they got him to open fire on a group of strangers in a Walmart. He was killed on sight. Then, the escalation of rooster terror attacks. As you can see here, a few highly specially placed roosters started attacking people, dogs, horses, to create a frenzy to make people think that the rooster is their enemy and not their protector. All over America, there's been rooster attack after rooster attack. Look at it. Don't turn away. All of these videos mysteriously went viral and were played over and over and over again by CNN until the world thought that their problem stemmed from the red pill rooster. But just these videos is not enough to know that there was a crime happening, that these roosters had been... It's a rooster chasing a horse. That these roosters have been compromised. Why do these roosters do it? Why do they sell out their own kind? I'll show you why. It's a story as old as time. Fancy pants. Next time you see one of these roosters, you point at his pants. And you say, was it worth it? Was it worth it for those fancy pants? You sold out your own kind. Was it worth it for those fancy shoes? Look at them. Just another rooster used up for an MK Ultra attack, terror programming, and then what is he paid with? Nothing more than a pair of sweaty fancies. And the whole point, why go through all this? Because Red Pill Rooster was influencing people. All false flag events. Cockadoodle don't. According to sodomite and pervert Alex Jones, this is all images from China. All right, I told you guys I had some funny stuff. For you. That was classic Big Bear. 5 things to know about Joe Rogan. Number 1, how many downloads does this podcast, The Joe Rogan Experience, have? We only got up to 136 before we got tired of counting, but probably more than that. Is Rogan a comedian? In the loosest possible sense of the term. What are his political beliefs? Whatever the person currently speaking to him believes. What's his interviewing style? Exhausting. Does Rogan's show provide a largely uncritical platform for bad faith reactionaries to push relatively harmful rhetoric? Yeah, but have you tried DMT though? Joe Rogan, a truly terrible person. I bet you haven't even thought about what the word means. Anti-Semitism currently means somebody Jews don't like. You know, you can partake it. I'm not going to say any of this stuff. No, fuck it. I would rather die than live in a world where I have to say lies all day long. I've thought about that a lot. I used to always like the Jews because I thought that they were just Old Testament guys. They don't let you... Do you know they kept the Talmud secret for like 800 years because they knew if anyone knew about it, they'd kill all of them? Did you know that used to be their secret book for centuries, guys? And here's the thing. You got to know that that's happening right now with secret societies. There's secrets right now that won't be known for centuries. Gravity doesn't exist. And I know I'll get shit for that. He's so stupid, he doesn't think gravity exists. I mean, look, there's gravity right there. And there's gravity right there. I mean, he doesn't know 9.81 meters per second squared. People are so dumb that they can't possibly fathom that what they were told in their Rockefeller-funded grabber schools was not true. Why would someone lie about that? The control of all energy? Why would someone lie about that? To control all energy? The biggest cartel in the entire world. Energy. 95% of the universe is a material that you can't see, touch, or measure. But we know it's there. Why? Because if it wasn't there, our theory wouldn't be true. What I'm saying right now is exactly their argument. We know that there's dark matter because if it wasn't there, then that would make us wrong. Can you measure dark matter? No. How do you know it's there? Because if it wasn't there, we'd be wrong. So what proof do you have? None whatsoever. So why do you think it's there? Because if it wasn't there, then our gravitational theory would be wrong. So how do you measure it? You can't. That's why it's called dark. It's invisible on all levels. So how do you know it's there? Because if it wasn't there, we'd be wrong. And the given is that I'm right because I'm wearing a white lab coat. What? Guys, that's real. That's exactly real. Same with black holes. Oh, I know. And it's falling apart because it's so dumb. That just gave me chills. It should. Well, your name is Frosty the Bear, so that's probably why you have dark matter, antimatter. No, antimatter is different than dark matter. Dark matter and dark energy, all it is, this is exactly what it is. It's assumed matter and energy because the only proof they have that it exists is because if it didn't exist, it would mean they were wrong. Wrap your head around that. My mind is gravy. Oh, dude. None of the gravitational theories work at all. None. And so the way it's all held together, no pun intended, is dark matter. How do you measure dark matter? You can't. Where do you see it? You can't. Can you measure it anywhere? No. Where is it? It's everywhere, but nowhere. So why do you know it exists? Because if it didn't exist, we wouldn't get government funding. That's real. What's the matter? Mind over matter. Matter. Yeah. Melting their brain. Yeah, there is no gravity. I don't like to talk about this stuff because there's so many more things to talk about that don't make people so furious. But there's clearly no gravity, guys. I always thought dark matter was BS, just like a lot of theoretical physics. Dark matter is required for the gravitational theory to work. This is why when I say there's no gravity and people go, you're so stupid. Ugh! Okay, without dark matter and dark energy, there is no gravitational theory. None of it makes any sense. The planets would not operate this way. There'd be no Big Bang. None of it. None. All the math, just none of it works. So the proof of dark matter is that they know they're right. So if it wasn't for this, that all the stars, all the planets, all the matter of all of the universe is less than 5% of the entire universe. That the majority of the universe is something that no one can see, measure, touch, none of it. So how do you know it's there? Because if it wasn't there, we'd be wrong. So maybe you're just wrong. No. Listen, climate denier. If we were wrong, we are right. And so, we have a given. If you don't know how logic works, given, we are right. Given. There must be dark matter. What part of logic don't you understand? So, show me dark matter. You can't. That's why it's dark. What? You can't see it, measure it, touch it, taste it, hear it. Nothing. But it's there. How do you know it's there? Because if it wasn't there, we'd be wrong. And we know we aren't wrong because we're narcissistic grabblers. Astronomy is the projection of the grabbler's lost feeling. Astronomy is nothing more than how they see the world. And they're trying to inflict it on you. You know that you're just a rock spinning in an empty void. Why do they feel that way? Because they don't have Jesus Christ. It all comes back to that. Why would these people be so adamant about pushing nonsense? It's like, oh, they're trying to... I used to think that they were in more control than they were. I'd be like, oh, they're trying to break our connection to God. No, they're trying to... Their world has no God. Their God is material. Their God is satanic. So they're convinced that the world, everywhere they look, they're seeing it through these grabbler glasses where it's like, okay, emptiness, 12-year-old girls that they want to fuck. And that's what they're convinced the world is because they're looking at it through these glasses of nihilism. They're angry because they feel their lives have no meaning. Exactly. In their mind, Neil deGrasse Tyson's a grabbler. It's like in their mind, the world is nothing more than a spinning rock out of control in an empty black. And they will do anything to prove it because it all comes down to a failed father, they think God failed them. God, your father is the representation of God in your home. And when he fails you, that it can really hurt you. I used to host a physics podcast. I interviewed the guy who got a Nobel Prize for gravitational waves. I interviewed Bill Nye. I interviewed the guy who designed the rocket that allegedly landed on Mars. When people act like I'm just this idiot, my college major was World War II, specifically the Holocaust, the Babler cost. I'm kind of a physics guy. I check out my old physics podcast. It was me and Kevin Hickerson, a PhD in nuclear physics, hosted a physics podcast at Caltech for like a year. It's like I interviewed some of the highest ranking science babblers in the world. So it's like when people act like I'm just some retard, I'm like, No, I know what I'm talking about. It's a great lie, and these people don't get tenure unless they're willing to lie. It's so dark. Talk about dark matter. I used to think that telling people how high my IQ was would help, would work. They'd be like, "Oh, he's crazy smart, so I'll listen." No, it just made people be like, "Did your mommy tell you that?" Like, there's people that can't comprehend intelligence. I get it. I have teaching instincts though, where it's like I don't want to give up on people. You know, I could show you a 2-hour conversation I've had with the guy who won the Nobel Prize for gravitational theory. Where a lot of respect, a lot of interaction, a lot of talking, and people would still be like, "Did your mommy tell you you're smart?" I'm a comedian who still somehow is in the world of science. And they're like, "You liar." Yeah, my IQ's 147. That's really high. And most of mine is from pattern recognition. And so, yeah, I do have a father's instinct. A lot of really, really high IQ people don't bother trying to talk to people that aren't smart. I think that's one of their problems. They're kind of selfish with it. You know, they don't take the time to try and explain some of these concepts to people that it could really help their lives. And so one of the problems I face is when I'm trying to explain a complicated topic, it's people that have a lower IQ and they're also mean. Like, those people just litter up the fucking comment section. They're just like, 147, 142, 2 points below genius level. Well, I mean, I think IQ doesn't matter if you don't have logos, if you don't have logic, if you don't have truth. If you lie to yourself and lie to others, you can have a 500 IQ and you're just a dipshit. Useless. That's genius level? It is. It is. I have a genius IQ. Genius. And I won't let the shame tactics make me not say that. It's fucking true. Like, if you test 1,000 people on the IQ, I'm in the top 2 or 3 people. Yeah, yesterday Fox was talking about how that it is appropriate sometimes to hit a woman, and this one guy was like virtue signaling so bad. He was like, "So you think it's okay to hit a woman? Then you, sir, I'm done with you and unauthorized." And I'm like, no, it's never okay to abuse anyone, male or female. Abuse is not hitting. Okay, so what if a woman's tougher than you and she's mugging you? Do you just take the beating? What if she has a knife? What if the woman just broke your nose with a headbutt? What if the woman jumps out of... Like, what the fuck is this guy talking about? Never okay to hit a woman? Of course there's times when you should hit a woman. If a woman jumps out of nowhere and goes at your neck, bop. I mean, how does someone not know that? Do you because if you stand and assess the situation like, it's a woman, so I'm going to lose with dignity. What? Do you know how many women could beat the shit out of that guy that was saying that? No, it's never okay to abuse anyone, including males. You know, you can't... Someone who's defenseless, if you beat a defenseless person because of your shit, you're awful. You don't even hesitate. You can't. Because what if, because that hesitation of assessing the demographic of your attacker, that's why hate crime stuff is so ridiculous. It's like, it doesn't matter, white, black, yellow, red, male, female, tranny. If someone's attacking you in the night, you immediately hit them. Oh, and if you guys want to support the tour, even if you aren't attending the tour, go to hugepianist.com/tour. We're selling meet and greets for before the show. And even if you don't show up, that's fine because it's not, it's cool. But if you want to support, just get one of those. Or if you want to, have more time with me, that's cool as well. Because, a sellout tour basically just paid for our production costs. And as long as the man has the will to do it, even if he can't at that time, the woman can still love you. Because they won't love you if you don't accept the responsibility of being a man. You can be out of work with a broken back and your wife can be the breadwinner and she can still love you and respect you as the leader of the home as long as you keep it in your soul. As long as you still want it. But as soon as you start being like, I want my lollipops, they won't love you. They will resent you. My wife became more feminine as I developed into a logos-driven man. Yes, it allows them to. Because women get more aggressive, more promiscuous, more insulting, more shitty if they don't have a man to protect them because they have to protect themselves. If a woman is abandoned by her biological father, she will go through puberty early because their body is trying to attract a man to protect them. It's that real. This is getting funny. This guy got banned. He said, if it took Cookie Monster 1 hour to make a batch of cookies, and Cookie Monster has 4 kitchens with 15 ovens going 24 hours a day, is it possible for Cookie Monster to make 6 million batches of cookies in 5 years? And they're like, oh, you can't post or comment for 7 days. This is because you previously posted something that didn't follow our community standards. Oh, this comment goes against our standards and on hate speech, so no one else can see it. Oh, well, asshole, 2,553 people just saw it, and another 100,000 will see it between unauthorized and Podbean and iTunes and this. So that kind of backfired, didn't it, Grab Wars? That's fucking hysterical that they now consider Cookie Monster hypotheticals are anti-Semitic. See, this is when you end up in nonsense world. Because everyone knows that the 6 million sounds a little high. I was a World War II history major in college with a focus on the Holocaust. You can't make this shit up. You're not capable of breaking that spell. The way to break spells is to make them silly and foolish. It's not to like go against it like fucking Gandalf. Where you're like, I will prove the Holocaust didn't happen. Because it did kind of happen. They did put stars on Jews. They did shoot a bunch of Jews in Russia. They did fucking take away the rights of Jews. They did. That's real. You don't think they got some innocent Jews doing that? Like, that really did happen. The 6 million figure isn't real. It's a perfect trap for humans. They set up this wizardry where it's like, never forget, it's the worst thing ever, never. And you're like, this is such fucking bullshit. But then the other version is also not true. Where it's like, nothing happened. They didn't take away the rights of any Jews. It's just like, no, they did. It just wasn't what they say it is. They definitely lined up and shot Jews. And some were women and children. It was tyrannical. It was a response to people that didn't. It was a non-logos response to another form of tyranny. They sent tons of people to die in the salt mines. Yeah, it was tyranny against tyranny. It's a ticket. You know, the way out of that was to try to shrink the supply chain. You realize why Hitler became so erratic is Churchill was trying to starve out Germany. The Rothschilds funded both sides of the war. Yeah, exactly. It's level one to think that Hitler was a good guy or that the Jews were the good guys. It was everyone involved was fucked except for the infantry were the good guys. You know, the ones that were just trying to fucking do it. BB crushing knowledge again. No, but it's true though. If you just think about it, like the reason that Hitler was pushed into war, which he was because Churchill and the Grabblers were cutting off supplies to Germany, kind of like what we're doing right now with Iran. And so it was literally starving people, and they felt like they were backed up against a wall, and they had to fight. Okay, so what would be the answer to that is not slaughter 70 million people. You know, it's like 70 million. It's shrink your supply chain, become more nationalistic. Hitler wasn't really a nationalist. He was an imperialist. He was a white guy imperialist. It's nonsense. Very Grabbler. The way he could have actually won would be to become more self-sufficient as a closed bordered nation. Because then the Leviathan of the English Navy couldn't starve them. The Weimar were just normal Germans. The Waffen SS was Satan. Interesting. Yeah, the SS was the real, the people who started NASA. The SS, they were really evil fuckers, man. Evil dudes. If you read The Rise and Fall of the Third Reich, very interesting shit. You know, a lot of homos, a lot of trannies. You know, what was his name? Not Himmler. Himmler was a piece of shit. Goring was a tranny. He was a morphine addict who was from World War I. You got to understand, there was no good guys in this fight at the top levels. Churchill was an asshole. FDR was an animal. Hitler sucked. Stalin sucked. They were all shit. Waffen SS was Hitler's death squad. Yes. SS very occult. Yes. They were straight up Satanists. Jews had to die, the springboard to creating Israel. Exactly. And 6 million was prophesized in the Talmud, so they had to go with 6 million. That's why they were setting it up for so many years. They believe forced prophecies is a really bad thing. You know, it had to be 6 million because that's what was prophesized in the Talmud. And it wasn't 6 million. It was way less. Yeah, but the 6 million never died. A lot died. I would guess it was around 1 million. That's what I would guess. I guess a lot of it was disease. And it's not because they were good guys. It just doesn't make any sense. I used to really wrestle with that. Why would you kill your slaves in a war? You know? It's like, why would you kill your slaves? So you're fighting a two-front war, and it's like, well, they just hated Jews. No, they were originally going to send them to Madagascar. The SS used the same symbol as Epstein. Yeah, this is some ancient shit that we don't even understand. I'm not big into Holocaust denial. I'm big into critical thought, and it's like 6 million sounds a little high. That's about the extent of my knowledge about it. I'm fairly obsessed with breaking wizard spells, and I could watch Hollywood make 1,000 Hitler documentaries and World War II movies every single year just to fuck with people's brains, and it's starting to not work. Typhoid. Yeah, it's not... No, they were brutal to the Jews. Brutal. And they killed a lot of good Jews. They killed a lot of good Catholics. They killed a lot of good people, man. And, but it wasn't how they said it was. I don't think there was gas chambers. I mean, there might have been. It just doesn't appear like that makes any fucking sense at all. This is the biggest spell. No, there's bigger spells. There's much bigger spells. There's spells that I don't even know are spells yet. They killed off lots of races, not just Jews. Exactly. Listen, this is the thing you're mad about. Let me break this down and then I'm out of here. The thing that's infuriating is the Grabblers made it so that the only people anyone ever talks about that have ever faced atrocities are Jews, right? That's the annoying part. Now, did Jews get rounded up and treated badly in World War II? Yes. Did a group of Jews cause World War I and greedily, parasitically steal from Germany? Yes. Okay. Did the World War I behavior justify rounding up and killing Jews in World War II? No. That's tyranny. So was it really 6 million? Clearly not. Not even close to possible. Are we all sick of the constant movies and Netflix specials about Hitler? Yes. Do we want to acknowledge the 1.5 million Armenians, the 20 million German civilians that died in World War II? 20 million. That's an actual fact. Here's the trap. You don't want to be the victim and be like, why won't you talk about my boo-hoo in the past? No. We grow. We are thankful. We have gratitude. You know, don't be like well, I'm Irish, so we should talk about my terrible bad. You know, it was horror. The trap is to say that Jews weren't killed in World War II or Jews deserve to be rounded up in World War II. Neither are true. That's the trap. The dichotomy between, is it the worst thing that ever happened and the only bad thing that ever happened to a group of people that were subverting and stealing from a local population? No. Was it nothing? No. Was Hitler a tyrant? Yes. And so that's kind of like why it becomes a trap. This is one of these Illuminati traps where it's like you're presented with two roads that both lead to your enslavement. You either vehemently back a group of demonic psychopaths called the SS. Himmler was objectively fucking insane. Goebbels was fucking terrible. Churchill was a genocidal maniac. FDR was terrible. They're all terrible. Stalin killed more people than anybody next to Mao Zedong. And so don't back evil to fight evil. So what should have Germany do? As armchair quarterbacks, we can look back and say, what would have been the way out? Shorten the supply chain. Hitler a demon? Yes. I don't know what Hitler was. People like Hitler. See, this is why I back out of certain conversations, because someone like Hitler that's so ingrained in the narrative, we don't know what the fuck that guy was. It's like that guy to me could have been a complete, absolute actor, like complete dramatist. There could have been 5 Hitlers. It's so much harder to prove what he was than, like, he's just, at this point, he's been so ingrained in everyone's head. You know, the branding, the wizardry, that I don't trust myself to even understand what the fuck that guy was. It's a lot easier to understand Goring and Himmler and people like that, you know? It's easier to understand like Molotov than it is Stalin. Stalin is Georgian, this 4'11", you know, how many Rogans is that? 14 Rogans. This 14 Rogan tall, pock-faced Georgian who names himself the Man of Steel, who's like Lenin's hitter, becomes the most powerful man in the world, debatably. I don't know what the fuck that is. What is that? How does that even happen? You can understand the motivations of like the Molotovs of the Soviet Empire than you can Stalin. As a grandson of a former German army soldier, he told me only one thing about the war and the Jews. It wasn't what they said that about or why. Right. That's what it is. And it's like this endless trap of, here are 2 sides, you both lose. Red team or blue team, you both lose. That's what you got to really watch out for. And that's when comedy comes in, when you just make fun of it. Like 6 Million Sounds a Little High, sung by Bob Dylan, is a spell breaker that doesn't damn you. Hitler was a drugged figurehead. I don't know what he was, guys. Some say that Angela Merkel is his daughter. I have no fucking clue. When presented with 2 competing extremes, both are usually wrong. Right. They weren't Christians. They killed a lot of Catholics. Hitler had to be gay. Yes. I think Hitler was a full-blown sodomite. You should be a history professor, man. I would have done that if that was my dream job, guys. My dream job was history professor. But universities are so fucking compromised. I wasn't going to go into tons of debt for grad school just to teach lies. I think they have a massive war around the time when people wake up and that's how they reset. You're giving up your own will. The devil needs you to commit to nonsense, or else it doesn't work. You have to do it. Merkel shaking from adrenochrome withdrawal or Parkinson's that she got genetically from her father. It's a spooky Georgian magic. Yeah. Because you have to understand, Adolf Hitler wasn't German. Stalin wasn't Russian. Do you understand how fucking insane that is? Like, imagine if we have like this nationalistic dictator who's fucking Mexican. It's bizarre. That whole thing is so bizarre.